Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Glendale Transportation and Parking Commission meeting for February 26, 2024. My name is Shauna Bonston, and I am the chairperson of the Glendale Transportation and Parking Commission, and I'd like to read the following statement. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting these questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person during the meeting. And with that, I'm calling this meeting to order. At 6:02 p.m., may we have roll call?
Chairperson Bonston,
Present.
Commissioner Lester,
Here.
Commissioner Amirian,
Here.
Commissioner Ordubegian,
Here.
Commissioner Avagian,
Here.
Student Commissioner Eubank.
Thank you. What is the next item on the agenda?
Flag salute.
Excellent.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And the next item on the agenda?
Item 2, posting of the agenda. The agenda for the Monday, February 26, 2024 meeting of the Glendale Transportation and Parking Commission was posted by February 21, 2024 before 5 p.m. on the bulletin board outside of City Hall. The agenda was also posted on February 23, 2024 before 6 p.m. outside of the co-working space in 2137 Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan.
Thank you very much. Glad to have it represented in Tokyo. What is the next item on the agenda?
Approval of minutes for the Special Transportation and Parking Commission meeting of November 21, 2023.
Are there any comments or questions? If none, do I have a motion approving the minutes of November 21st, 2023 special meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. Can I have roll call?
Chairperson Bonston,
Yes.
Commissioner Lester,
Yes.
Commissioner Ordubegian,
Yes.
Commissioner Avagian,
Yes.
Commissioner Amirian,
Yes.
Student Commissioner Eubank.
Thank you. And the next item on the agenda?
Item 4, presentations. There are no presentations for this meeting.
Okay. And the next item, please.
Item 5, consent items. We do not have any consent items at this time.
The next item, please.
Item 6, action items. Appointing one member of the Transportation and Parking Commission as member of the project development team for the Vision Zero action plan.
Thank you. Do we have any callers or speakers for this item or
We do not have
presentation?
any callers. Thank you.
We have a staff introduction. Hello.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Ismael Carvajal Perez, Project Manager for the Vision Zero Action Plan. So, the Vision Zero Action Plan is a request from City Council to staff to try to limit the deaths and injury of pedestrians and within the city of Glendale. Since June of 2023, staff has created a technical working group of city professionals as well as gather a list of community stakeholders with our consultant, Borough Happold, working on strategies on outreach, branding, and implementation for a successful implementation of Vision Zero. Staff is requesting the Transportation and Parking Commission to select one member to serve as member of the Vision Zero Action Plan's project development team. The goal of the project development team is to guide the Vision Zero Action Plan and greatly in providing the Commission's insight when reducing deaths and injuries in Glendale. So far, we are expected to begin our meeting with the full PDT the end of March or beginning of April, and we are expected to finish our plan by the end of 2024. So thank you, and we're here to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. What an important endeavor to be a part of. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
I have a question actually.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It was mentioned that only one person has to be appointed in the committee. is it one person, or if there are more than one people are interested, can there be more people from the commission appointed?
So we were directed by council for only one person. If we wish to increase that, that's a question for legal.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So there's some alternatives that have been provided, and would you clarify kind of what the thinking behind some of these alternatives are?
So the first alternative is we provided the outlook of what submitting a commissioner would be. We wanted to provide a balanced hand in what choosing a commissioner from the Transportation Commission, as well as we have another member of the Sustainability Commission. And we wanted to make sure that they were evenly represented, and we wanted to be as transparent as possible. But I would also like to point out that we do have members of the community that will be represented as well, that will balance out not only pedestrians, but as well as bicyclists, but as well as all members of the community.
Okay, so in alternative one, when it states, should this happen, a greater emphasis on bicycle safety will be overrepresented instead of a balanced representation of pedestrian and motorists. Can you clarify how that conclusion was reached?
So we wanted to be transparent and acknowledge that we do have a member, we do have members of the biking community that are actively represented in our community groups and our bicycle transportation plan, PDT. And we are reaching out to similar members as well as other members in the community. And we've expanded that role by learning lessons from the BTP and applying them to the Vision Zero Action Plan's PDT list.
So, and what is the favored alternative for staff, given, you know, there's this call out basically?
Not a favored alternative, but we are providing options for the Transportation and Parking Commission. And we are highlighting just exactly as what is represented right now in the culmination of our PDT at the moment. We have not only city staff professionals that were approved by City Council, but we also have members of the community, stakeholders, that were also approved by City Council, but we wanted to be as transparent as possible.
Right, and I think, you know, there's a bit of, look, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just trying to understand, was the determination made based upon an analysis of this commission's past voting?
No analysis, just the representation that we've had people come in and represent certain point of views. We want to make sure that we have a collective of what is representative of Glendale.
And I understand that completely. I'm just, I you know, for my sake, and I think, you know, for the commission's sake, having a better understanding of how you came to this conclusion in the alternative would help kind of clarify what you know, staff recommendations, that the alternatives that you've provided, what you're looking for. So, you know, given the fact that there's been, you know, you're saying that there's no analysis, there's just a general feeling that, you know, amongst staff members in your department, that the Transportation and Parking Commission tends to be more bicycle friendly?
Not a representation, but we do know that most of the active members that have come to our past events happen to be happen to be pertainingly more in the bike community. We would love to see more participation in those other aspects of the community, but again, we do our outreach. We try to reach as many people as possible, but we want to be as clear and as present that this is the type of representation that we're getting when we do the outreach.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I found that note curious as well. I'm just wondering how many other groups will be represented?
So we have a growing list right now. Again, these groups were approved by City Council. So not only do we have representatives from the biking community, but we also have businesses such as AAA, or we also have members of the community such as Glendale Unified School District. We're reaching out to all those community groups, as well as in a digital format and a non-digital format.
I see. So to clarify, TPC is just one voice among many that will be represented.
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, I think maybe we found, some of us found the comment kind of troubling. I think we like to think that we represent a variety of interests here, and we're not an advocacy organization, unlike many of those that you list here. So, thank you.
Yep.
With that,
I just have one quick
Yes,
question.
please.
So all the other community members that you've listed in this over here, as far as Glendale Unified School Districts, Montrose Shopping Park, Transportation Parking, and everybody else, they all will have a representative as your,
That is the goal. Again, we will reach out to them if they have the availability to join our meetings. In the past, we've tried to get a whole consensus of representative of what is the Glendale community, but we could only interact with those who respond to our invitation.
okay, I mean, for example, I'm part of the Montrose Shopping Park Association, and I just wanted to know if you have contacted them and
Not at the moment, because we wanted to go ahead and finalize
Finalize it,
city
then-
representatives,
okay.
and then we'll reach out to them.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
thank you. With that, do we have a motion to elect or to nominate a member?
Madam Chair, may I ask a question before we do so? I just wanted to understand, let's say if at this point, if, let's say more than one people a person is interested in joining it, do we have to go amend something? How do we refer to the legal aspect of this? Because I'll just, like, for example, I'm interested, but for the other commission that the bicycle transportation planning that me and Commissioner Lester were serving, for example, we had modified it and 2 people were appointed. So I'm trying to understand the process, whether if more than one person is interested, how we're gonna do it. So before we actually make a motion.
Again, I will refer that question back to legal.
Okay, so if someone can answer from a legal aspect of it, I would truly appreciate it.
I think this one's only for one position, so I think we're gonna keep it at the one.
Okay, can I make a comment? I just wanted to say, first of all, that this is a great, it's a neat idea to create this project development team. 0 fatalities is obviously a very difficult bar to meet. I think many cities have struggled to achieve it, but that doesn't mean that the goal isn't a good one. And it's something that it seems right that cities should strive at least to reduce it to as low as possible, and 0 is the ideal. I also think that there is a lot of data on cities that have gotten good results if they applied a sincere effort to this. Again, as this commission, we are looking at all forms of transportation, and I really do want to stress what our chair said, like this, I view this commission as everyone trying to move around the city by all modes. And that's the responsibility that I see and feel for it. So in terms, I wanted to say, Commissioner Vagian and I are on the bike plan development team, and I was just thinking that maybe this, I was considering our chair as a possible nominee. She's a planner and maybe the most experienced in this particular area on this commission. So I would present that as a motion if I have any support.
Yeah, and before I second, remind me again of the order. We take a motion and a second, and then we discuss, or do we discuss and then propose a motion? Does it matter what order we do that in?
It's a motion, a second, and then discuss.
You can do it in either order.
Oh, we can just do it anyway.
Just wanted to make sure. I mean, I'm open, I'm definitely open to any option that the commission wants to consider. You know, what's interesting to me, and having, you know, being the new member on this commission, not counting our student member, is that there's an impression that the commission is such a proponent of, you know, a specific mode of transportation, in this case biking, that it was called out specifically in one of the alternatives. And so, obviously, having had quite a bit of experience serving the city of Glendale on boards and commissions, it's interesting because it's the first time I've ever seen something like that. So I did try to get to the bottom of why that would be the case, why that, you know, that impression would happen. You know, my impression is that, from my experience, is that we do have 3 very passionate board members surrounding bicycling. And there's nothing wrong about that per se. It's the sense that it's such a strong passion that it overrides the ability to give, again, I'm, you know, I apologize if I'm projecting upon the statement in your alternative, but it is something that I've never experienced in nearly 20 years of being a commissioner or a board member in the city. So there's an impression already amongst the staff that's conducting this that if there's going to be a member from the Parking and Transportation and Parking Commission, that member is going to somehow have these strong biases that they're not going to be able to set aside. Is that concerning at all to the rest of the commissioners, that's the impression that is being given to a department that's running this study, to the point that they would call it out?
I would answer, I find it odd. I think I'm eager to prove them wrong. I do think that we represent all modes of transportation. I don't know if I am reading as much into that. I don't, you know, really know why it's listed like this as an alternative. Again, I would imagine if they were worried about overrepresentation, they might be looking at the list of other groups that are advocacy groups that specifically call out certain types of advocacy. But I don't know that we've proven ourselves to be biased or overrepresented. I think we've had a couple of items in last year, but it hasn't been exhaustive as all the types of things that we could be reviewing. You know, so I don't think we've had a chance as a collective body to show advocacy or, you know, to show perspectives and well-balanced approaches to other types of plans that may have come before us, such as a pedestrian plan or other type, you know. So
Yeah, and to be fair, and to be fair, you know, my experience again is limited. I didn't, you know, I went back and watched one meeting, but I didn't go back and watch, you know, multiple meetings or years of meetings, because I had a pretty good understanding of what the responsibilities of the Transportation and Parking Commission were. However, you know, I understand that in, you know, given the several meetings that I've attended, you know, biking has come up in every single one of them. And so, you know, I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, I understand kind of where staff is coming from. And I also point out that while it's highly irregular, I haven't seen something like this, my limited experience, given the fact that we've only had bike issues come up, is that we do have commission members that are, bias is strong, commission members that are highly passionate about biking specifically. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to kind of see some of the other things that might come up in front of this commission. But I just wanted to kind of both point out that it is strange that it's coming from staff and it's been put in writing that they believe that, you know, if we choose alternative one, I want to get the language here right, so that I'm not reading, you know, projecting. Should this happen, a greater emphasis on bicycle safety will be overrepresented instead of a balanced representation of pedestrian and motorists. Look, I don't know if it should be listed out like that. And based upon my limited experience thus far, it seems like, you know, if they watched the last 3 or 4 meetings, maybe that's why they came up with, you know, a conclusion like that. I just want to make sure that if we do end up deciding that we're going to send a commissioner, that we don't create a situation where immediately staff and everybody else involved is thinking, hey, this is just another advocate for you know, bicycling or bicycle safety. I mean, we're all advocates for bicycle safety, but specifically to the point where they would call out some overrepresentation. So I would just say I'm open to sending a member, and I'm also open to not sending a member. But if we do send a member, maybe we send, you know, somebody like Mr. Otabegian, who has the experience and is certainly an advocate for bicycling safety, but not to the point of which, you know, he's, I would say, has the perception of being, you know, selling out for the bikes, let's say. And that's just kind of like the impression. That's not my impression, but I hope you get what I'm saying.
You think there's an impression that we're selling out for the bikes?
I mean, again, it was a turn of phrase, but I think there's enough of a perception that we have not just passionate advocates for bicycle safety, but advocates for bicycling in general, that it's been called out specifically by staff, and then albeit, I'm going to just say it, as a former chair of a commission, you know, the audit committee, in kind of a clumsy way. I don't think it should be called out publicly like that by staff. And if it is, it better damn well be backed up by something more than just, you know, kind of a feeling. At the same time, in all honesty and transparency, in my limited experience, I can understand why somebody would come to that conclusion. That's what I'm trying to say.
May I just add? I think everyone here up here is qualified to be the member of joining your group to find out exactly about the bicycle safety. But I want to second what Commissioner Amirian had mentioned before on the 10 or 11 sessions that I've been here. All the subjects were about bicycles. So now that you're mentioning it, I'm part of this group, Montrose Shopping Park Association, that you're going to be reaching out. Mm-hmm. So I still don't want to be biased towards anything. I think everybody's extremely articulate. Everybody's extremely qualified. I want to nominate Commissioner Amirian for this role, since I'm already part of Montrose Shopping Park Association and we're going to be reached out. So my vote is for him, and hopefully everybody can benefit out of this. I think a true leader is someone who can elevate everybody. So that's basically my vote.
May I make a comment? As far as wording, I actually do second Commissioner Amirian. That is really setting the tone as Commission is being an advocate for a certain aspect. Being passionate is different, but being that wording kind of sets the tone that it may be an unreasonably advocating, which I don't agree with. I'm all for any decision that commission puts up for voting, because I believe that all the candidates are fully qualified for the position. But again, let's say in this situation, if we are appointing, let's say Commissioner Amirian and Commissioner Lester offered to appoint Commissioner Chair Bonston, why don't we bring up the fact that, because the answer that I got was, I think it's only one person, so why don't we just expand and appoint 2 people to the commission if we're trying to get other types of like, for example, like all modes of transportation advocating, because there is no certain answer why we're only appointing one person at this point.
If I may just quickly comment on that, is that I think one person is enough. If you look at the list, there's a tremendous amount of people that are going to be involved in this. So it's not that we're trying to put checks and balances at one another. We're sending a representative of the commissioner, whoever's qualified. I think everyone's qualified for this role. And I think one person should be sufficient enough. But again, I'm going to leave that to the chair and go from there.
And you know, alternative 3, and I thank you, Commissioner Avakian. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I would support any of you as well. It doesn't matter. Alternative 3 does say Transportation and Parking Commission may consider any other alternative not proposed by staff. So there does seem to be, is that not an actual alternative that we have?
Can I just bring it back to the motion a little bit? I feel like we've steered. I'm getting a little confused. If it sounds like you're considering another option of the 2, or we still have the question on the table about the 1 versus the 2?
So Commissioner Avakian suggested that we appoint 2 members, and the understanding based upon the question that we asked earlier was that no, there's only 1 member being able to appoint it. However, reading through these alternatives, alternative 3 clearly states the Transportation and Parking Commission may consider any other alternative not proposed by staff. So what I'm trying to understand simply is, do we even have the option of saying we want to appoint 2 people, given that that alternative is written the way it's written?
I believe City Council only approved 1 position, correct?
Got it.
That is correct.
Yeah, I suggest we proceed with this single position today. Please.
I just wanted to, can I
For
respond?
clarification.
I was going to just say a few words on what was, add to what was previously said, which is, first of all, Vision Zero is actually, the concept is 0 traffic deaths, and that is for drivers too. It's not specific to any particular mode. We're talking about what's in the best kind of interest of life safety for everyone. That's definitely it's worth mentioning. Yeah, I basically, I agree. I think we should bring back, the motion stands, is that I made, and I'm interested. Is there anyone who would second it?
I mean, just from so again, not to get too much into the weeds, but let's just understand. So there's been a motion, there's been some discussion prior to a second, then there's been another motion. You know, how are those generally handled? In what order?
Per Robert's
matter?
Rules of Order, that's why there's a lot of clarity if you make a motion and then there's a second and then it's discussed. And then that's kind of either it carries or it doesn't, and then another motion begins.
Yes, you have to do a motion second. If it carries, then you do the roll call. If not, then it will be over and you can move for another person.
Got it. So in this case, there was a motion, there was discussion, there was no second, and then there was another motion. What are the orders that's taken care of according to Robert's rules?
You should do the first motion first, and let's just redo the first motion, and then we'll go through.
Excellent. I'm just looking for clarity. Especially considering, again, I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on this. I have never ever seen something like this before in a public staff report. That's 18 years plus consecutively of serving as a board member and a commissioner. So, I just want to make sure that I's are dotted, T's are crossed, because it's odd. I actually have another question, if you don't mind. I have a question of you. Are there specific people that alternative one would apply to, or is this generally speaking, considering that this is the alternative, the wording that you've put it, were there specific people in mind when you staff put in, should this happen, a greater emphasis on bicycle safety will be overrepresented instead of a balanced representation of pedestrian and motorists?
No, not specific people, but we've noticed that in our past outreach events, we've had a greater turnout by the bike community. But we wanted to make sure that when we were selecting the PDT staff, that not only was that group and that community within Glendale was represented, but that the opportunity exists for other groups as well.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, look, generally speaking, I'm okay with anybody advocating for whatever they want. And I know that setting aside, things that you're passionate about, and dispassionately looking at certain things has its place and its merits. But look, everybody should kind of, especially when a statement like this is made, you got to say it with your chest out. You've got to really point out to us who you're talking about and what you're talking about specifically, because when I saw it in the report, it immediately stood out to me. The same way, I think, for my fellow commissioners, I have no issues with people being passionate about things that they're advocating for. In fact, people that are passionate, tend to care more. They tend to spend more time. They tend to pay more attention. That's great. I just want to make sure that, my fellow commissioners understand kind of why this stood out to me and what I am trying to accomplish by having a little bit of an extended discussion about this, because this is not, in my experience, normal kind of, a normal alternative. I don't think it, I think we could go back the entire history of the city council, and I guarantee you city council's never been called out by staff for representing certain ideas disproportionately. So I just want you all to understand kind of where I'm coming from, especially as somebody who's, served in these capacities and has the experience both as a chairperson and as a regular member. I want to make sure that the decision that we make is very clear on what we're making the decision for, and that we have a clear understanding of why staff put in what they put in. So that's all I'm going with. If we're going to entertain the first motion, then let's do so.
Can I make one more quick comment? Basically, I wanted to say, so there's been a lot of talk about bikes for a meeting that has Vision Zero on the agenda. I think it's worth pointing out that, yes, there has been a lot of bike items that have come up, but it's also true that this commission does not set the agenda. The city does, as directed by city council to work on the projects that they have to do. So it was not any one of us who was deciding what we talked about here. Our job is to do the best we can to help give guidance as basically to add to the process of creating these projects in the most successful way possible. So whatever comes before us, that is what is our job to pursue. So again, yes, there's been a lot of bike stuff because the city has been making special efforts in that area, starting with the development of the bike plan back in 2016. That process has taken a long time, and it just so happens that many of those things came up recently. So Yeah, I mean, if bike stuff is what's on the agenda, especially something as important to the city as a bicycle transportation plan update, I think this commission can reasonably expect to talk a little bit about bikes on those meetings.
Absolutely. Well said.
I actually have a comment as well. I know we still have a motion up on the table, but I do, rather than have alternative two, I do think we should have representation. I think it would be sort of absurd to not have the Transportation and Parking Commission not have representation at Vision Zero. I think it's in the wheelhouse of what we're looking, one of our missions. I agree with you that the way that alternative one is phrased, it seems to have an assumption of an outcome that is offensive, if not inaccurate, if not just strange. And that, maybe we can, if we go with alternative one, we can kind of swipe the assumption that's coming off with that there would be greater emphasis on bike safety. Because I wouldn't imagine that to be true from actually any representation here. But I just don't know how that assumption would be made. Again, we are not an advocacy organization. There are others on here that do have advocacy, and that is their role. That is my comment. We still have a motion on the table, and we need a second.
I'll second it.
We take roll?
Chairperson Bonston,
Can we read the motion just so that I'm clear which motion we're talking about? I know it's the first one, but let's make it clear, please.
You want me to read it or read it off my brain? Which is, the motion was to nominate myself, the chairperson Bonston, to be on the project development team for the Vision Zero action plan.
Chairperson Bonston,
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Lester,
Yes.
Commissioner Ordubagian,
No.
Commissioner Avagian,
Yes.
Commissioner Amirian,
I'll abstain.
Student Commissioner Eubank.
Do we make the second motion, or this is already passed?
He's asking if they need to make
Does the motion pass?
Yeah, motion passed. Excellent. Okay. I do have a follow-up question. I noticed that the roll call, you're calling out the student commissioner. Does the student commissioner have a voting role on this commission?
They do not.
Okay. So do we need to call roll for the student commissioner?
You do not.
Excellent.
Thank you for that point. Before we move on to the next item on the agenda, I just want to say I'm delighted to take on this opportunity. I hope to gain the trust and backing of all my commissioners, all my fellow commissioners, and as a person who is, while not a bicyclist, I am a pedestrian and a motorist, and I am very concerned about the safety of everyone. And, I was thinking about this today as a son who's entering middle school next year and will be going to Wilson. I hope that that's something that I can teach my kid, how to take the bus home, and looking at previous, traffic accidents in the area is something that we can advocate for the safety of students in particular. And so I look forward to this opportunity. Thank you. And as I continue to speak, what is the next item on the agenda, please?
Item 7, informational report. There are currently no reports for this item.
Thank you. And the next item on the agenda.
Item 8, oral communication. Discussion is limited to item not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision.
Do we have any callers or speakers or
No.
any item? No, no discussion. Okay. What is the next item on the agenda, please?
Item 9, commission staff comments updates.
I have a comment. I'm gonna beat this dead horse. Generally speaking, I think as a person that served this city and kind of understanding what everybody is doing here, which is volunteering their time, and serving to the best of their ability for a city that they ostensibly love if they're sitting here. I think in the future it might be better if staff maybe approaches the chair with something like that before it's put out into the public. Now, whether or not the impression of staff is actually the case, there was a lot of kind of like hemming and hawing going on. But it seems to me that staff does have that impression, and that's why they put it, into the alternatives. And if that impression exists, it would behoove staff to speak to the chair of the committee, and maybe just reference the fact that they're going to include that alternative as an option. At the very least, I think our chair, who I think is going to do a fine job representing the commission, at the very least, the chair would have an opportunity to go, that's odd. Like, where is that coming from? And do we really want to put that out there? Or maybe there can just be a discussion between the chair and whatever staff, and they can share the information that they have. Because what we got instead was a strong statement, but not not really backed up by anything. And I get it. I understand. But I think in the future, I think everybody would appreciate a little bit of, if you're going to say something, back it up. It's all good. Just back it up. That's what we're looking for.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, my name is Farid Zoraban. I'm a principal planner for City of Glendale. And this report was written actually 2 hours ago. We were talking about the same problem, that it was overseas and there was no intention to make any comment about a member of the TPC in the past or in future. So we discussed it about 2 hours ago, that it was written, oversaw a little bit, but staff had no impression at all to say that our committee has been misrepresented by any group. A bicycle plan is going on, and the members are participating, and we have a pretty good balance in the committee. So I apologize for this impression that this sentence gave to you, but we had no intention to confuse anybody or make any statement about it. So as a result, I apologize myself. I caught it about 2 hours ago, and I was going to change it, but I thought it's too late to do that. Yeah.
And I appreciate that, and I assume good faith until there's evidence otherwise, and I think I accept your good faith argument. Mm-hmm. In the future, I think these things are reviewed multiple times, and so something like that, our chair was being very gracious in saying that maybe I'm reading too much into it, but every time I read that sentence, the implication is clear, and so if you're going to put that in the report, then come with your chest out and say, hey, this is the reason why. We've looked at the past 7 votes and, there's this propensity to, whatever you're going to say it. And at least that way there can be a direct response to it rather than having to kind of beat around the bush here and go like, what is this about? Because, as a new commissioner, it's just odd to see something like that written out, and then when I ask questions about it, everybody's like, "Oh, we're not sure. Like, what do you mean?" And it's like, it's weird. Am I the crazy one? I don't think so. And so I wasn't offended emotionally, but I'm just saying from just a professional standpoint, understanding what the commissioners here are doing. Everybody here was appointed based upon their interest, their willingness to serve, to give up their time. And so having something like that called out without any type of backup when somebody says, hey, what did you mean by this? Okay, you made a mistake? Excellent.
It was a phrase that it should have been written differently a little bit.
Okay,
I apologize for that.
Great.
And I take responsibility.
excellent. That's
If I
it.
may just add a couple of more sentences. I think maybe all of our meetings, past meetings, the ones that I attended, were about bikes.
Fine.
So we didn't have anything else to talk about. It was only bicycles. So I know I'm one of the second Commissioner Mirian. So it comes across a little bit kind of, fishy. So when you put that in the report, so I understand maybe there was a mistake or anything else. Now, having said that, I have a huge problem with the outreach that City of Glendale does to inform its residents, its constituents, that's what's going on. For example, when they say, oh, we're going to do beautifications on certain street, and they're not writing it out, that they're going to put concrete blocks in there, that it's going to take away 1 lane of your street, and people don't know about it, because I have people coming to me and ask me, is that true? So your outreach is not correct. Now, the other thing that I notice in this report is that there's tremendous amount of other advocates in here that it's called out. GCC, City of Glendale, Montrose Shopping Park, and all that stuff. But Montrose Shopping Park hasn't been contacted from you guys. So I don't want you to forget it. I need you to contact them. They're very active, and they extremely are aware of what's happening in their neighborhood. So they want to be part of it. So it should not be just one email, oh, they didn't contact us. That's not how it works. It needs to be done correctly. The outreach needs to be done correctly. Certain stuff that we've approved on, let's say, Brand Boulevard, it was based on 8 people's vote. That cannot be something. So when Commissioner Lester mentions that city puts these agendas up, yeah, but they do look at our recommendations. They say, okay, well, the commissioner puts these recommendations, and therefore we're going to act on it. So it's our job, it's our duty to understand exactly how does all of these things affect everyone's bottom line. Not only the bicycle community, not only the motorist community, not only the pedestrians community, everybody. What are the impacts? If our fire chief comes over here and says, do not put a bike lane in here, it will affect our response time, we should pay attention to that. Those are the things that it comes collectively, and that needs to be passed on to the council so they have the right approach towards all of these things. So having said that, I just want to let you guys know the outreach is not good at all. I want you to, before you send it out, let us know what is it that you want to send out. So if there's any correction needs to be done, we can do it at that time and make sure everybody gets the correct information. Not after we spend millions of dollars on implementing something and then we have to go and take it out, spend millions of dollars taking it out. That is not correct, and that is not our job here to do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay.
Commissioner Avagian, do you have a comment?
I just want to say that, thank you very much for accommodating this remote participation of mine to the staff members. And I just wanted to remind that the early voting has already started as of February 24, and would like to encourage everyone to go and vote and make the voice heard. The election day is on March 5th, and the polls are open, so that's all I wanted to say. And then looking forward to meeting you all in person when I get back for the next meeting.
Thank you so much for your comments. We only wish you took us with you. And thank you so much for a plug for everyone to do go out and vote before March 5th. So with that, are there any other comments from the commission? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Chairperson, if I can, I wanted to take this opportunity first to introduce myself. I know I greeted you guys as you guys walked up, but I'm Daniel Hernandez, the new interim Public Works Director. In my previous capacities as a director of other cities, I've supported different types of traffic commissions, traffic authorities. So I'm glad to be here. I'm willing to work with staff, and the comments received tonight they're on point. At the end of the day, it's our job as staff to present the items to you in a clear, concise manner, but sometimes we don't get it right. But the feedback that we receive, we need to own it. We need to look back and see how we can improve our process. So we appreciate the comments from the commission tonight, and we'll just look at which ways we can improve. But I'll also give our new city attorney a chance to introduce himself as well.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Aaron Israel. I'm new appointee to the City Attorney's Office and will be advising this commission going forward. And thank you to my predecessor, Sylvia, who's done an excellent job advising this commission. I look forward to working with you in the future.
Welcome, and hopefully this is as exciting as it gets.
Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. And sorry to interrupt. I do welcome a pre-meeting if there's any, advice or support that you can provide that we can help manage a fruitful discussion in these meetings. Happy to hear so. Okay, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I will move to adjourn.
I will second.
I'll second.
Motion carries.